Would you welcome Marlies Wolf to the stage?
Thank you.
So I've had the opportunity to get to know Marlies and what she does and a little bit about her journey. And I thought it was just something that I felt like I had to share with the rest of you. And I'm so excited for you to get to hear a little bit more about her story and her organization, which you saw a little bit about during that last clip. But I want to start off because, in preparing for today, we were sharing some different ideas, and Marlies shared some quotes that really inspired her, and I'm going to kind of pepper those throughout today's talk. And I want to start with one, and it's from Vincent Van Gogh. I don't know if you've heard of Vincent Van Gogh. Do I need to explain? But he says, paintings have a life of their own that originates in the painter's soul. And I think about this painting that we're all painting. It's our lives, right? And we're all kind of producing and creating this spiritual journey that we're on. And so when I got to talk to Marlies and hear a bit about her spiritual journey and what originated in her soul, I also found that there was this really unique journey of some difficulties, some challenges that actually invited and invoked a deeper sense of spirituality. So I'm curious if you would just take us a little bit on your journey and what some of those different moments were that really led you to rediscover and reclaim that spirituality for yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you all for having me here. I think Aldea what you're doing here is amazing, creating this very special community and space to share these important life lessons. So I'm very excited to be part of this. So my journey that brought me here, it's difficult sometimes because when I start talking about that, I can talk for hours. So I got to choose what I'm going to share here. But I've been a creator all my life, and a creator in the sense of, because, as you said, we're all creators in our own way, but artistic person. And it's taken me through, different stages as a landscape architect. I'm from the Netherlands, where I started out as an urban planner, landscape architect. When I chose this career for myself, when in high school you start choosing a career, and I was like, what do I want to do? What's important to me? I love creating. I love people, and I love nature, and I love creating. I would love to create spaces for people where they can be comfortable. And because the Netherlands is very, there's 17 million people on a very small space. So outdoor space to us is very, precious. So I was wanting to design that for people. And as I started my career, I loved doing the work, but what I ran into was you create all these beautiful plans, and then there's bureaucracy and government, and so I never really or rarely saw the fruits of my labor. A lot of plans ended up on the shelf, and then I started questioning, like, okay, I'm not really getting the gratification from this that I'm looking for. What is really important to me. So I started my spiritual search from there, and I started volunteering in an elderly home, bringing coffee. And I realized this is actually bringing me more joy than the work that I'm doing. So that was kind of my first, kind of spiritual confrontation. Like, what am I doing here? What do I want to do? Yeah. And then I moved to the U.S. With my husband, following him, and I wasn't allowed to work for 7 years. So I had to give up my career, which was, at that time, it was really hard because you're kind of giving up, feels like you're giving up a piece of yourself. You kind of have to reinvent yourself. And I tried for a while to find a job, to get a visa, but after a lot of frustration. And I think about a year, I was like, okay, I need to do other things because this is not working out. So I started oil painting because I loved oil painting. I made a lot of gigantic oil paintings. And everyone's always saying, you should sell your art. I was like, I don't know. I wasn't feeling confident enough to do that. But I've always had this question. I was like, what good does art do for, for other people? Yeah, someone can hang it in their living room, but I don't know. I didn't really see the value of my art. But I do know that when I went through kind of trying to set up selling my art, like what do I want to do here? And I realized, I looked back a while ago at, I had made this mind map of my own mind and what I wanted to what my goals were, and I always wanted to make people see the world the way I see it, because I always see my paintings are always super colorful. I like to change the colors, so I kind of take reality and put my own spin on it. It's kind of surrealistic. And well, I kind of lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no,
So
I just want to say I love that idea, because I think that we all have unique ways of seeing the world, and every one of us is a universe within ourselves. And so I think the beauty of things like art, the beauty of creating, which again, if you recognize that we're all creating in our own way, right? The beauty of creating is that we get to share this mysterious internal world with other people. We get to bring other people in on that. So it's beautiful
Yeah.
to hear that you were thinking in that way.
I realized I've always wondered, even when as a little child, looking back now, I'm always fascinated by other people's consciousness. And I was thinking, do people see, we're all here, but do other people see the same thing that I see? And you will never know if other people see the same thing as
I've
you
always
see.
wondered, am I the only person? Is my red your green?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Yeah. You'll never know. So yeah, that has always fascinated me. And then I kind of rolled into, through my studies, I did a lot of graphic design, and I rolled into web design because I moved to Silicon Valley, and I wanted to build my own website, and I didn't like what was offered out there. I was like, I'll teach myself how to do it. So I went and taught myself coding, and had the idea of starting.
Just casually tell yourself coding.
I believe, like, if you want to learn something, you can. I believe that. It's just whether you really want it or not. Yeah. Because I'm not a math, what do you call it, math person, like physics and stuff is like, I don't get it. But I don't know. I taught myself how to code, so somewhere it's there. But yeah, so I had the idea of starting a business in graphic design, and I started my business. And then I had kids, so I realized I can't. At first, I thought I could combine it, but I realized that's not going to work out. I want to focus on them, being a mom, and I just cherish that time, with them. Although that came with challenges too, because you kind of get another identity crisis, or you feel like you have to give a part of yourself up again. This part that you just found, you're like, okay, and I'm a mom now, or and getting confronted with those feelings of, okay, I need to find time for myself or what I want to do. And I got kind of lost there in a way, because I was so focused on finding time for myself, and because in a way it was, I had a lot of friends. It's like, yeah, you got to keep doing, what you want to do, and I didn't want to send them to full-time daycare or whatever, and I kind of started resenting them being there in a way, which was really awful. And it only dawned on me later. It was like, wait a second. I'm not in the moment here. I'm trying to get away from them to do what I think I want to do. And it was very confronting to come to that realization that I was kind of, um, it was, I was snapping at them, and kind of if they didn't want to go to bed, I was just like frustrated all the time. And I realized it was because I thought I had to do other things. And so I had to, when I had that experience, I kind of changed, come to acceptance that this is what I want to do, and everything comes at the right time. And right now, I want to enjoy my kids, and because they're just precious. And yeah, so kind of let go of that again for a while. And now they're older, so I do have more time for other things again. And I moved from Silicon Valley to Singapore, and this is kind of part of my journey as well, like just moving around everywhere, starting over, being without family. And in Singapore, I really got confronted with starting over again. The culture was very different. I'm a very social person that needs other people and connection, and I felt the Asian culture was more private. So I had really hard time making social connections there. And there was also COVID at the time, and we had no family. So I I kind of I didn't realize it, but I was under a lot of stress, and I have to say I didn't even realize it because I always said I'm not stressed. I'm just doing my everyday thing. But I think that a lot of us have that these days, kind of like life is so busy and we're under a lot of stress, and we just have accepted it. And that's what I had done.
Yeah, and it seems like we will go down that path until we're hit with a roadblock, right? Sometimes we're able to live in a way and live under stress and live in a way that really is unsustainable, that we're not actually experiencing the best version of ourselves until life kind of shows up and says, hey, either you can keep going this way or not. And so for you, and knowing your story, I know that you had a moment specifically related to physical health where you were really shown and you saw there's something I need to really address, and it really forced you to look inward. And so I'm wanting you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I was in Singapore, I thought I was fine, and then I had within 2 weeks, all of a sudden, I completely collapsed, and it was a very terrifying experience. It started with I felt like someone had pushed a button here in my shoulders and turned off the I don't know even know what to call it, the function of it. And then that was the start of me just collapsing within 2 weeks of being totally fine, to being not even able to fold a napkin, pick up a pen. And I was there alone with two babies. My husband travels a lot. And I was, in the beginning, I was in a lot of pain. And I was terrified. I didn't know how I was going to survive. Even on looking back, I'm like, I don't know how, how I survived. So it was confronting, because this was another, like, what do you call it? These moments where you have to reinvent yourself. Like, I can't do anything when I can't create anymore. I can't even barely take care of myself. And I've went on this journey of first of all trying to find out what was going on. I went to a lot of specialists. Nobody could find anything. Also, I felt in Singapore I was dismissed by a lot of doctors that didn't even do tests, but just said, "You're fine." And I started doubting myself mentally, because I was like, I'm not fine. I can't explain to them what is going on. They can't find anything. Maybe I'm losing my mind here. So I started doubting myself. And yeah.
Well, looking back, you'd describe it now as a mysterious autoimmune disease.
Yes, it was an autoimmune disease. And so I was on this journey. Thank you for that. I was on this journey trying to figure out what was going on, and nobody could find anything. And then I got confronted after 2 years. I was like, I have to accept this now, that it might just be like this forever, because nobody can help me. And I had to turn inward. There was no other way of looking inward. And I started reading a lot of spiritual books. I had a neighbor who was a pranic healer who helped me a lot. I was very skeptical first when he was doing his crystals, and I was like, okay, but it did something. And I was like, okay, this is the only thing that's helping right now. And he taught me this mantra of like, I'm not my body, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions. And at first I was like, oh, I didn't believe it. I was like, I'll recite this, but I didn't believe it. And so, but I started reading about spiritual, all different spiritual teachers, and meditating. I found this meditation that really resonated with me. It was one that Deepak Chopra has. It's called The Soul of Healing. And it's where you look kind of into your cells and send this healing energy to yourself, and coming to the realization that there is creative intelligence in every cell of your body. And if you don't, give this any thought, we're just like going around, we're this body. But if you kind of zoom in and realize there's all these things going on like a micro level, this is creative intelligence. And it's amazing, and it has a lot of power. So I was doing that meditation 3 times a day for 45 minutes. And I started healing. It started working, and I started doing an autoimmune diet, which I'm currently still on, because for some reason my body, my nervous system is just still in shock. There's a lot of things that will upset my system, even like regular carrots. I started changing my diet, eliminating anything that could cause inflammation, and I started healing myself. And then there was a point where, came a point where I was like, wow, I can hold a pencil again. Yeah. And I can create something again. Yeah.
And I want to turn to another quote you shared, because really you're talking about this journey inward. Sometimes the external world just doesn't hold any answers for a particular situation. And so this is from Eckhart Tolle. It's vital for every human being to contact that place within where intuition arises, because otherwise you are confined to the limitations of your conceptual mind. And so you were able to transcend those limitations because of this challenge that you faced. And ultimately, as you said, you were able to eventually pick up a pencil, pick up a brush again. And so walk us through the journey from finding a sense of healing through your internal spiritual path, and then going there back into art.
Yeah. So when I could hold a pencil again, I realized, first of all, that I had to get away from screens, media, because I realized this was giving me a lot of stress. As you know, with the COVID, all the negativity. And I was also, since I love just nature, very concerned with what are we doing to this earth, and how can I save the earth? We're all doomed. And I felt like I had to get away from the media. So I said to my friends, I can hold a pencil. I want to paint. Give me a picture that you want, of your pet or something, so that at night, when my kids are in bed, I will make a pet portrait for you. So that's kind of how I started. And I had gotten into this habit of listening to podcasts because I couldn't read when I was with my condition. So I started listening, and I had put on a podcast and started drawing. And I realized when I looked up that I had been drawing for 2 hours and I hadn't heard anything of the podcast. And I was like, wow, this practice really shocked me into the present moment. I was just loving it. I wasn't thinking of anything else, anything was going on outside of me, anything that was bothering me. And in that moment, I realized that for me, the value of art lies in the process and not in the outcome. So that's
Say that again, because we need to hear that. Say that one more time for us.
The value of art lies in the process and not in the outcome. Thank you. Because the art process has a lot of metaphors for daily life. A lot of people are scared of making art, and I know we'll maybe talk about this later a bit. But we have this inner critic that holds us back, and in that moment when I realized that the value of the art is in the process, I was like, I want to share this, because it healed me, and I would love to share this with people. So that they can, work with their stress, their inner critic. And a big aspect for me is also in the connection, making connection not only with yourself, but also with others through the art process. So coming together to inspire each other and create together is so powerful. And how I kind of grew from that is like, okay, if I want to share this, how am I going to do this? And came my inner critic saying, I'm not a business person. I'm not a natural speaker. I'm fine, just staying in the background. And I realized, these are fears that are holding me back. The same as the same fear that you get that holds you back from creating art in the first place. And so I started through my practice, through my art, letting go of fears, which is, I think, the biggest practice. And I took baby steps, and and I said, I'm not going to let fear hold me back. I'm just going to do it. And here we are. I've started it, and I'm very excited. And, there's been so much growth in my life in the last year that I'm just, I'm opening up and I'm just loving it, and I want to share more. And so.
And so we've talked a bit about your journey, and I want to now, we're talking more about what it is you do now and what you offer to people. And you have your business Flow, and I wanted to share a quote that really, I think, and you provided this quote, but it ties in so well to what you do. And it's from Deepak Chopra: life is a river that continues to flow. You can't step into it in the same place twice. Ever-changing existence is always new. So you have this new thing that's flowing, and your life is showing to you, and you actually, and again, you name it Flow. Tell us a little bit about what it is you do, and then when we go into the core values, we'll be able to show those as well.
Yeah, so I chose to call my business Flow because it doesn't only refer to the flow of paint and creativity, but also to the flow of life. So so can you ask your question again?
Yeah. Tell us anything that you'd like people to know about what it is that you do, connecting art and mindfulness. You're not just someone who's doing a paint and sip. There's something extra that you're doing. And then after that, we can move into the values.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of take the work with the inner critic, work with addressing loneliness and addressing stress. Those are the three things that I strive to address with my flow workshops, I start with a reflection on one of my core values. I have 8 core values, and I believe these core values, if you live with these core values, you will step into the flow of life. Not only you will get into the flow of your creativity, and as your creativity grows, you can apply these principles that you've learned through the art process to the flow of your life, and grow not only in an artistic way or creative way, but grow spiritually as well. So that's my philosophy. So I start with a reflection on one of the core values, and I have small groups because connection is really important to me. I only do it in person. I like doing small groups because it opens up, it's more of a welcoming, safe space to also share with each other, and connect with each other. And I do a meditation to kind of open up the creativity. I do different meditations because I feel I've tried a lot of different meditations myself, and different things resonate with different people, or at a different moment something different will resonate with you and work for you. So I want to offer different types for people to practice with themselves. And then I do intuitive painting classes. So I don't have a set end result, but it's all going to come out, out of your own creativity. And it's been great to see all the works that have come out so far. We start with the, same exercise, but everyone creates something different and unique and new, and that's just wonderful to see. And while as we're creating, we're trying to just let go of any expectations, any judgments that we put on ourselves or on others.
And so much of what you do, again, tying this to mindfulness and spirituality and being in the present moment. And as you reflected, your journey was coming back to that. And so it's how we notice, how we see so much of what you're inviting people to do is to see things differently. And you shared a quote that really ties into one of the specific classes you do. And so this is from the Art of Noticing. It's all about taking in as much of what's out there as you can. Attention is vitality. It's the difference between looking and seeing, between hearing and listening, between accepting what the world presents and noticing what matters to you. So would you talk a little bit about what you're inviting people to notice specifically as you walk them through these art practices?
Yeah, so one of my classes is called The Art of Noticing. It's after this book that I read from Rob Walker that really inspired me, and this ties back into what is our perception and coming to the realization that everything that we experience in this life, in this world, is just our personal perception only. There is nothing else. So for me, in that respect, there is no objectivity. There's only subjectivity. And as we talked about before, as like everyone sees the world in their own way. And when we work with, in the art of noticing, I'm trying to deconstruct reality as we think we see it. So we can look, for example, I have people bring an image that they love to work with, something that brings them joy. For example, if we take an image of a tree, you think, okay, I see a tree here, but what if you try not to see a tree, but I try to zoom in and out. You can see the tree as a whole shape, or you can see a crown and you can see a trunk. But you can zoom in, you can see different values, or you can see different structures, you can see different colors. So my exercise that I go through is kind of deconstructing the reality, is like, what different elements do I see in this tree? What is it built up out of? And then kind of putting it back together into your own what do you think is important when you look at this? What do you see? Extracting the things that are not important to you and putting back into your artwork what you value, and adding an element of your own inner creativity is like your imagination, really. Like, how can I change it? Can I make colors brighter? Or what do I love about this, and what do I want to make stand out? How can I change it? Can I change the colors? And this kind of curiosity, excitement to put that into your artwork. Yeah.
Sounds like the kind of work we're doing in our lives as well, spiritually, and with the work that you do, you're inviting people to notice, and you're inviting people to see deeper sense of creativity. You're inviting people to work with those inner voices. And so knowing that you use meditation as part of your practice, I wanted to see if you could lead us in a meditation, something that maybe is an example of what you do, but also maybe for people who might be on varying levels of still working with, am I an artist, or what kind of creating do I do? And so Marlies is going to lead us, and I want to encourage you, if depending on your comfort level, if you're comfortable closing your eyes or resting your gaze, and we're just going to be in this moment together for the next few minutes.
Okay, so the way that I start a meditation is I always focus on my out breath and the silence that you find at the end of your out breath. I realize thoughts are transient, and I do not try to silence them. But as you breathe in, maybe a thought arises, and you breathe it out with your breath. And while you breathe out, relax your body. And you can notice this moment of peace and calm and silence at the end of your out breath. And as you do this practice, thoughts may arise again as you breathe in. And with the out breath, you try to let go, relax your body, relax into the earth, and rest in the silence, maybe 1 second in the beginning. But as you notice this silence, it can grow over time. You can stay in that moment a little longer. And as you breathe out, scan your body for any tension, your head, your jaws, your shoulders. And as you breathe out, let all that tension sink into the earth. And feel your body relax. And I want to take a moment to zoom in from the level of the body to the level of individual cells, as you realize we are made up of tiny, tiny particles. And there's so much life in each of our cells. So in your mind's eye, go into the space at the end of your out breath and imagine each of your cell as a space with tiny particles floating around. You feel the space inside yourself. There's creative intelligence in the space between the particles. And marvel for a moment at the beauty of this. Life is a miracle. It's amazing. Now, in this space, imagine your creativity as a light. A tiny ball of light. And it's growing slowly. Your creativity is growing from the space. And as it grows, you notice it starts to change color. And it's radiating warmth, radiating light, radiating color. And now with the in-breath, try to grow your ball of creativity larger and larger from the tiny space between your cells into the space of your heart. With each in-breath, it's growing until it can't be contained by the space of your heart anymore. The light, the warmth, the colors are now flowing into your body, into your legs, into your head, into your arms, into the tips of your fingers, where you will be now ready to share it with the world. And you can imagine a world in your mind's eye, and imagine the tips of your fingers, and sending the color, light, warmth from your hands into the earth to share with everybody. And realize your creativity is valuable to everyone. And our creativity is what makes this world what it is. And when you're ready, then come back to your body. And open your eyes, ready to create.
What a gift. Thank you.